Hello everyone, welcome back to Array Blog once again. So, have you ever wished you could reuse your code instead of writing it again and again? And that's exactly what inheritance in Python let us to do. So, in this video, we learn what inheritance is, the different type of inheritance, how to use it with a basic example. So what you'll do, will first create a file that is called inheritance. So let's just inherit, right? So that we can understand this file contain the inheritance code, right? So so the second question is, what is inheritance? So inheritance allow one class to use the properties of method of another class. So inheritance allows one class to use properties and method of another class, right? So suppose there is a parent class and there is a child class. So you can use the properties of your parent class and child class. You can use the property of parent properties and method of parent class into your child class, right? So so the class being inherited from the class being inherited from is called the parent class or base class, and the class that inherit is called the child class. It means, so suppose you have a two classes, first one is parent classes and the second one is child classes. So you are inheriting the you inherited the data from the parent class, that is called the base class, and you are using that data means properties and method here. So you are using the properties and method in your child class, that is called derived class, right? So this way the child class can use everything that parent has, and it can also define its own unique features, right? So let's move to the a basic example, and what we'll do, we'll write some code and we'll see how the inheritance works. So what we'll do, we'll just start writing the code here. So we'll say class, and then we declare the class name is a person, right? And so person, and then what we'll do, we'll initialize the constructor, right? And we'll pass the name and age here, and then self dot, and we will declare here the instance variable, that is name. So self dot name equals to name. So this is called instance variable. This we have learned in the previous video. So self dot age equals to age, right? Now we are going to declare another function, that's say def grade, and we can say self, right? Self, and we'll say print and f comma hello, welcome to welcome to array block, right? Or what we can say, welcome to, then instead of writing the array block, we will pass the array block as an object and we'll see, right? So we'll say self dot name, right? As we have done this in our previous video. So next what you're going to declare, we are going to declare a child class. So this is the parent class. So we'll write a comment here, that is parent class, right? Now we're going to declare child class. So what we'll do is it's class, and then we'll say student, right? And we'll say person, and this is our child. So we'll say child class, right? So then this is the child class, and we are going to declare the def. Now then init. So it's automatically called because I have already installed the some extension, so that is automatically writing this code. So I'll say like we have declared the name and age, and then we'll declare other one that is say student underscore ID, right? And I'll explain this line what it does and why we have written like this. So I'll move to the next line. So we'll say self dot student id equals to, that is we are declaring the instance variable here, student we can say student underscore id, right? So this is our instance variable. Now we can declare another function that's a def, that is so underscore id, right? So self and column, so we'll print here. So that's a f. So my student id is, so we'll say self dot student id, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a student object here. So let me write this first and then I'll explain everything. So we are I'll comment this, creating an object, creating a student object, right? So we create a student s1 equals to student, right? And then we say array block, and we'll pass the age, we say 40, and we say the student id s1, we can say 40, s1 and then 40, right? Now what we'll say s1 dot greet, and we'll call this, and then say s1 dot so id, right? So now we have completed with our program. Now let me explain one by one. So this is our parent class. The parent class name is person, right? And it has with constructor and a method that is called greet, right? So this is a class that include a constructor with the instance variable name and age, and a method like that is called greet. There is a child class that says student, right? That contain, so that basically what it does. So so that basically contain a constructor and then a method that is say so id. Now what we are doing here, we are inheriting our parent a person class, that is the parent class, into the child class, right? And we are using the name and age inside the student class, right? And this line super dot init and name and age, basically it calls the parent constructor, so the student object also gets the name and age, right? So what it does, it calls the parent constructor, means this one, so that this student class gets the name and age, right? And it has a method that says so id, right? Now we declare here object. Now s1 dot greet, what it does, it called the greet method, and then so id it called the so id method, right? So even though greet is not defined in student, it work because it's inherited from person, right? And the so id the method is basically unique to student, so that we usually used to call it, right? So let's run it and we'll see what it prints. So python, that is inherit.py. See, it's a hello, welcome to array block that we passed here, that is name, right? And it comes here again as we are calling the greet, right? This method here, we get the hello, welcome to array block. Now we get the my student id is S1140, right? As we are printing the student id. So the key point to remember here, the child can use both parent methods and its own method, right? So here we are using the parent method, that is the greet, and the own method, that is show id, right? So let me recall all these things what I explained here. So a person is a parent class. It has its own constructor with a instance variable name and age. It has a own method that is called greet, right? And there is a child class. There is another child class that says student, and we are inheriting the parent class inside the child class using the like, and it also has the constructor and their method, right? So id is a method, and constructor basically in child class we are inheriting the name and age from the person in the student, right? And this line, the super dot init dot name and age, what it does, it inherit all the properties, that is name and age, that exist in the person class, we can use inside the student class, right? So that's how inheritance work. So there are multiple type of inheritance in Python. So basically Python support different type of inheritance which help us to organize code in different way and in a different situation. So there are like the so I'll mention them. So the first one is single inheritance. One child inherit from one parent. So what we have written here, it is example of single inheritance. One child inherit from one parent, right? One child inherit from one parent. That is single inheritance. Multiple child. One child inherit from more than one parent. So suppose if this child is going to use the value of multiple parents, suppose there is a person and there is another class, that is person one, that is called the multiple inheritance, and there is a multi-level inheritance. So a child inherit from a parent, and another child inherit from the child, that is called multi-level inheritance. There is a hierarchical inheritance, that is multiple children inherit from a single parent. Multiple children inherit from single parents, basically a single parent, and there is a multiple child, that is called student or boss or everything you can call multiple child, and that all child are inherited by the person and parent class, right? Hybrid, a mix of two or more types above, right? So so why use inheritance, right? So first thing is you can reuse your code. No need to rewrite the same code again, right? And the second thing is logical hierarchy. It helps us to model real world relationship as we did here, right? We declare a person that contain name and age, and we as a student is also a person, right? So we are using the name and age here also. We are inheriting the some properties of person inside the student, right? And scalability, it makes big project more organized and easier. see how organized our code look like, right? So use inheritance whenever you need to write some rewrite, whenever you realize you have to rewrite the code again and again, right? So today we learn about inheritance in Python, right? How we can how child class inherit properties and method from parent class, and how different type of inheritance work. So in the next video we are going to learn about the type of inheritance in Python, right? So if you found this video helpful, so don't forget to like and subscribe. So see you into the next one. Thank you.